Here's what you will need to make a pair of crafty rainbow earrings. You will need some cotton craft cord. This is 4mm cord from Hobby Lobby, and I think it was $4.99. A pair of very sharp scissors, the sharper the better, some needle nose pliers, a size C or 2.75 crochet hook. This one is Clover & More brand, which is my favorite brand. A thin-toothed comb. This one is from Walmart, and it came in a 2-pack for like $1.50. 3 different colors of embroidery thread or fingering weight yarn, and 2 earring fish hook earring findings. The first thing we're going to do is cut our rope, and you just need one piece of rope about the length of rainbow that you would like. It doesn't really have to be exact because we're going to trim it later, so 6 or 7 inches of rope. And then we are going to unravel it by twisting it the opposite direction than what it's twisted already, and pull apart these 3 little strands that make up the rope. I'm sorry, you're also going to need a tiny tapestry needle. Okay, after you get your 3 pieces set 2 to the side, take your first color of embroidery thread or fingering weight yarn and your crochet hook. Now I'm just going to pull out some of this embroidery thread so I have plenty to work with. And we are just going to single crochet 19 around this piece of cotton cord. Make a slip knot. Put it on your hook. Straddle your piece of cord with your working yarn and your tail. Then insert your hook under your cotton cord. Grab a hold of your embroidery thread. Pull it a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. That's 1. We're going to do that for a total of 19. So we're going to put our hook under our cord, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 2. 3. 3. Okay, that's 19 single crochets. Now you can cut your first color of embroidery thread, but leave a decent sized tail because you're going to need this later during the assembly. Then we're going to tie off by yarning over and pulling through our loop. And then we're going to squish these guys so where they're about in the center of our rope and evenly spaced somewhat. Now we are going to move on to our next color and our next piece of cotton cord. Go ahead and pull off some of the embroidery thread, or you can use fingering weight yarn. This time we are going to start by joining into the first single crochet. Grab our yarn and pull up a loop. And then we are going to single crochet into that same stitch where we just joined, but we're going to also be going around our second piece of cord. So I've pulled it. I'm just going to chain right there to hold that stitch in place. Then I'm going to insert my hook, but before I finish out the stitch, I'm going to put my cord right on top of my hook, then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. That's our first single crochet. We're going to do that for 6 more times, giving us a total of 7 single crochets. That's 2. That's 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. Now we're going to do 2 single crochets, so a single crochet increase in the next 5 stitches. So we're going to put 2 single crochets right in this same spot for an increase. That's 1, 2, and that's 1. I'm going to do that 4 more times. 2, 3, 4, 1 more for an increase, 5, and then we're just going to single crochet 1 time in the next 7 stitches. And our last stitch. And we can tie off. This tail doesn't need to be as long as the first one, just long enough to tie in your tail. And that gives us a total of 24 single crochets in our second row, and now our third and final row. Going to insert our hook into the first single crochet, grab our third piece of cord and our third color of embroidery thread or fingering weight yarn. Go ahead and join your third color by pulling through a loop and then chaining. And now we're going to start our single crochet in that same stitch where we just joined, which is the very first pink single crochet that we have there. But before I finish out my stitch, I'm going to make sure to put my rope on top of my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on my hook for a single crochet. We're going to do that 6 more times for a total of 7 single crochets. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. We're going to repeat that for a total of 5 times. So increase single crochet 1, increase single crochet 2. We're going to do that for a total of 5 times. So 2 single crochets right here in the first stitch. That's 1, 2, and then we're just going to put a single crochet right here in the next stitch. And then we're going to repeat it 4 more times. Increase, 1, 2, and then single crochet, increase, single crochet 2 more times, increase, single crochet, and last time, increase, single crochet. Now we're going to single crochet 1 time in the last 7 stitches, giving us a total of 29 stitches in this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. You can cut your yarn and tie off. Now we need to shape and assemble our rainbow. We're going to start in the middle with our blue or whatever color you have. Get all of the tails to the sides, just having the blue, the tassels underneath the blue, the tassels that the blue is worked around, and we're going to pull them together and then kind of squish the blues together on both sides. And this will also mess with all of the other single crochets too, and it will just take some adjusting. But once you get your blue ones kind of the way you like them, or your first ones, then we are going to sew it shut so there's not a gap between them. That way they're closed like this. So we're just going to flip it over and thread our long tail, the first tail that we cut, onto a tiny embroidery thread needle, into a tiny embroidery needle. I'm going to show you how I sew these up. You might have a different or better way. This is just how I do it, and it gets the job done. I'm just going to adjust all of the other colors really quick so the pink and the green aren't coming down way past the blue. Probably can adjust it later. I need to do it now for my own brain. Okay, so to close this up, I'm going to insert my hook, my needle, under a couple stitches on the left side of the first row and pull it through, and then on the right side, same spot, pull it through without letting my tails get all wadded up. Now back to this side, pull it through, back to the right side, back over here, now you want to pull it so it's completely touching each other. Keep doing this back and forth until you've closed up your entire first row. There we go. And you can see what it looks like on the right side because we did all of that sewing on the wrong side. And now we can go ahead and leave that there, unthread it, and thread our other blue tail. And we are just going to thread this guy and hide it up in here, and then knot this with our first tail, and then thread those two and hide them. This will make our earring nice and clean on the back side, but also structurally sound, which is important if you are selling these because you don't want your products to fall apart for your customers. That would be awful and probably result in some not so nice reviews. So after I get both of the blue tails up here kind of next to each other, I'm just going to knot them together. And then I'm going to finish sewing in these blue tails so they stay hidden. It's a little finicky to thread your embroidery thread onto this tiny little tapestry needle, so if you need to use a little piece of tape on the end, that might help you thread it onto the needle easier. Next, we're going to adjust our second row. It's a little finicky. Okay. Give it a tug on both sides. And then kind of just make it shape the way you need it to at the top. Now flip it over and sew in your pink tails or your second color tails. I'm going to again sew it up to the middle and then sew up the other side, knot them together and then sew them in the rest of the way. So they're close to each other at the top, and then knot them together with a double knot. And then you can finish sewing them in to where they're completely hidden. Then we have our last row. I'm going to start by just adjusting them by pulling the tassels. Okay, and then adjusting the stitches so that it lays flat. There we go, and now sew in our green tails just like we did the other ones. Okay, now that you have all of your tails sewn in and your rainbow is nicely shaped, you shouldn't adjust anymore after you've sewn in all of the tails. Now we are going to trim and comb our thread down here just to give it a nicer look. And I like to comb it from all angles to help get rid of the twist that was in the cotton rope originally. And using your sharp pair of scissors, trim your fringe to your desired length. And then comb and trim again if necessary, till you get your fringe just the way you like it. And now it's time to add our hardware. Grab your fish hook and your needle nose pliers. Insert your pliers into the loop on the end of your fish hook and gently open that loop up, just like that. And now we are going to go put this hook into the front side of our rainbow. So down into the front, and you're going to want to find the center stitch, or very close to it. Make sure it goes under both loops of the single crochet so it's on there pretty secure. And then picking up your pliers again, we're just going to gently, very gently, pinch it closed, just like that. And now we have finished one crafty rainbow earring, and we need to finish the other one using this one as a guide for like trim length and such. But that's all there is to it. I hope you guys like this pattern.